The single best coding AI you can actually use today wasn't built in San Francisco. It's free, the weights are open, and it comes from Beijing. On the world's biggest human preference coding leaderboard, it sits at number 2 AO, beaten by exactly one model. And here's the strange part. That one model, you are not allowed to use it. Today we break down GLM-5.2 AAO and why it might already be number 1. Chapter 1. Who built it? To understand why this matters, you need to know who made it. The company is Z.ai, formerly Zhipu AI, one of China's sharpest research labs, and the GLM line is its flagship. GLM-5.2 landed on June 13, 2026. Under the hood, it's a 753 billion parameter mixture of experts model AU, but only about 40 billion parameters fire for any single token, which is what keeps it fast and cheap to run. It was trained on roughly 28 trillion tokens of data. It reads up to 1 million tokens of context at once, AU, an entire codebase in a single prompt AU, and it ships with 2 thinking modes, one quick, one deep. But here's the part that changes everything. It's released under an MIT license. That means you can download the actual weights, run them on your own hardware, use it commercially, and you don't have to ask anyone for permission. Most frontier models are a locked door. This one is open. So how good is something you can just AURs take? Chapter 2, the number 2 spot. Start with the leaderboard. People actually trust AU Code Arena. It doesn't measure trivia. It pits models against each other on real front-end coding tasks and lets humans pick the winner. GLM 5.2 lands at number 2 in the world, with an ELO of 1595. Sitting just above it, Anthropic's Claude Fable 5. But look at who's below it. Claude Opus 4.7, Claude Opus 4.8. Anthropic's closed, top-dollar flagships both beaten by a model you can download for free by nearly 30 points. And it's not a fluke of one board. On Design Arena, which scores visual and design tasks, GLM 5.2 doesn't just place AU, it finishes first, ahead of Fable itself. A leaderboard built on human vibes is one thing, but what happens when you put it through the cold, hard benchmarks? Chapter 3. The benchmarks. Here are the numbers the engineers care about. On terminal bench, agents driving a real command line, GLM scores 81. Opus 4.8 gets 85, GPT 5.5, 84. It's within 4 points of the best closed model on Earth. On SWE Bench Pro, fixing real software bugs, GLM scores 62.100, beating GPT 5.5's 58.6 and Gemini's 54.2 outright. It is the strongest open model in the world here. On Frontier SWE, GLM hits 74.4 against Opus's 75.10, a gap of less than 1%. And on the math reasoning test, AIME 2026, GLM doesn't tie. It wins AO 99.2, ahead of every closed model in the room. So it's effectively neck and neck with the best the West has built. Which raises an obvious question, why isn't everyone just using the one model ranked above it? Chapter 4. Fable's empty throne. Remember the cold open the one model that beats GLM, the one you're not allowed to use? Here's the twist. That model is Claude Fable 5, and it was pulled from the leaderboard's live sampling, removed from public access following an export ban. So the single number 1 coding model on the planet is one almost nobody can actually run. Strip out the model that isn't available, and the picture changes completely. Among every model you can download today, or call through an API right now, GLM 5.2 is number 1. Not second, first. The throne at the top of the leaderboard is sitting empty AU, and an open, free Chinese model climbed up and sat down in it. And the most remarkable part isn't even the ranking, it's the price tag. Chapter 5. The price. Let's talk money, because this is where it stops being an academic benchmark and starts being a business decision. Through Z.ai's API, GLM 5.2 costs $1.40 per million input tokens and $4.40 per million output. That is roughly 1/6 the cost of comparable frontier coding AU, and on output, somewhere between 5 and 8 times cheaper than Claude Opus 4.8. But the API price isn't even the headline. The weights are MIT licensed. You can download the model, run it on your own servers, and pay nothing per token AU, no metering, and no data ever leaving your building. For a company burning 6 figures a month on closed API bills, that is the difference between renting and owning. Which all sounds a little too good. So where's the catch? Chapter 6, The Honest Catch. There are two, and they matter. First, the weak spots. On SWE Marathon, the longest, hardest, multi-hour autonomous coding runs, GLM scores 13. Opus scores 26, twice as good. On NL2 repo, building a whole project from a spec, Opus leads almost 70 to 49. For true marathon, hands-off work, the closed models still pull clearly ahead. Second catch. Zhipu published 0 official benchmarks at launch. Every number you just saw comes from independent third parties, not the lab. And using the hosted API means your data touches Chinese servers, which is a genuine compliance problem for a lot of companies. The open weights let you sidestep that entirely. The API does not. So where does all of this actually leave us? Here's the real takeaway, and it's bigger than one model. This isn't a story about China beating America, it's a story about the floor moving. A year ago, frontier-level coding meant renting from a tiny handful of US labs at premium prices. Today, a free, open MIT license model is within 1% of the very best AEO, and it's the best you can actually deploy without permission. The frontier is still closed, still expensive, and still a step ahead on the hardest marathon tasks. But the floor AU, the thing anyone, anywhere can run for nothing AU, just jumped almost to the ceiling. The gap between what costs hundreds of dollars and what costs $0 has shrunk to a rounding error. That is the headline. The best AI is no longer something you only get to rent. If this helped you see where AI actually stands in 2026, hit subscribe AU. It's the single biggest thing that helps the channel grow. Next up, what open weights really mean for the companies betting billions on keeping their models closed. We'll see you in the next one.